Hello, please. I think I've shared the link with your coursework, but it seems it's not online. So those of you who have joined, kindly forward the link to your page if you can access your class page. I think your coursework, I've tested him, but then he's not online. I don't know why he just left online like that. Please let's do share the link to our class page. Your course rep is not online, so I'm not able to get him to forward the link to your page. So kindly do share. If you have access to your page, kindly do share to your page. Okay. All right. So wow, this guy, I don't know why. All right. Please, I'm coming. Okay, I'm coming. I want to I want to share something to someone. I think I'm still waiting to. I think the regular students, their course rep is not online, so it seems they don't have this current link on their page. Aha. So that is the what I'm trying to figure out, and I don't know if some of the regular students, since they said their page is locked, only the admin can um, access their page. So it means that those um, if he's not online, it means they can also get this link to join the page, to join the session. So I'm trying to if see if I can get their any other course rep to share the link to, so that the person can put it on their page for them to join. And that's why I've been mute for all this while. So please, if you know, I think the only course rep I know for you guys is Prince. Yeah, that guy, and he's the one who is not online right now. So I don't know how they can get the link to their page. Okay, so I think maybe in 3 minutes time we will begin. Okay, we will start. I think we've been idle for 12 minutes. So so when 50 minutes comes, then we start. But this someone is trying to call him, and please, if you also knows you have his contact, you can also call him and tell him to come online to come and forward the page, the link to their page, because I think he's not online. He's not online. And if it's not, once it's not online, they can also put it on their page for them. So if you know him, you can call him on phone or any of their post rep that they should come online and forward the link to their page for them to join. Yeah, so I think another course rep is called Daniel also. So he too is not online. I've tested him, he's also not online. So I don't know. I don't know how the regular students can get the link. These guys, I even told them that. Okay. Please, someone should try and call Prince. Yes. Someone should try and call Prince. So he's the course rep for the regular students. Okay, I think we have a minute now to start the session. So someone should try and call him so we can start the session. All right, so this session is for SOC 257. Okay, this session is for SOC 257. So it's not SOC 251, 261. Okay, it's SOC 257. Okay, so I think I've done my best. I was not able to, so you let's continue. Let's start. Yeah, I think I've done. All right, guys. So we are back. Sorry for the delay. So the first discussion that we had, the first discussion was on SOC 261. That is techniques in social work. But then this discussion is going to dwell on that is SOC 257, working with individuals or casework. So we are going to also look at some of the areas that is very, very important that we must pay attention to or critical attention to. So with that being said, as I told you guys earlier on when I met you guys in class that the SOC 257 is purely short answers, okay? So because it's short answers, I think when I came to your class, I even demonstrated some sample questions for you guys to expect for that particular course, okay? So of course, the course is basically about casework, and I try to explain to you guys when we say casework, casework is the same as what interpersonal practice. So when we say casework, it's the same as interpersonal practice or working with individuals. So any way that you would want to use it is fine. So when we say working with individual, when we say casework or interpersonal practice, we are referring to the same particular course. Are you okay? And in that interpersonal practice, I think, as I said, social casework is a method that social workers employ to help understand client issues and find solution to them. So that is social casework. Okay, so social casework is let's say is a method that is employed by social workers to help understand client problems, to find means and address them. So that is social casework. And how can we work with our client? So the means through which social workers work with their clients in social casework is what? Interviews. So it is through interviews that we get to understand our clients or work with their clients. So you see, in interview process, it is some kind of face-to-face interaction. So with interviews, we have a face-to-face interaction with our clients. And having this face-to-face interaction with our clients, we try to understand their issues. We try to understand what is leading to their issues, because in casework, we ask more questions. And the kind of questions that we use in casework includes, we can either use an open-ended question or a closed-ended question. So depending on the type of answer that we want from the client, will determine the kind of question that we ask them. So if you want short answers from them, we just ask them a closed-ended question. And if we want them to briefly or express themselves and give us a detailed explanation to what is going on in their life, that's when we ask them an open-ended question. So when we talk of questioning in interviews, we have two forms of questioning or two types of questioning. We have a closed-ended questions and an open-ended questions. So a closed-ended question elicits a short response, whilst an open-ended question elicits let's say a broader response from the client. So that is what the interview process is about. So through interviews, we get to know the client, we get to appreciate their issue, we get to know their key strengths and also the resources that they have as large. Please, I hope you are getting it. All right. So that is basically about casework. Now, in casework, as I said, sometimes we have to fall on an external information. So when the client comes to you right now, so let's say Mavis has come to me. Mavis is my client right now. So when Mavis comes to me right now, Mavis is my client. So the kind of information I am getting from Mavis right now is an let's say it's a personal information from her. Are you okay? But then it is, let me say, it's a personal source or a primary source. So the kind of information you are getting from the client, let's say Mavis, who is sitting in front of me, if I ask her a question and she answers to me, you see, I'm getting a first-hand information from her. So if I'm getting a first-hand information from the client who is getting and who is experiencing the problem, is what? It's a primary information. But then in casework, sometimes it also requires the social worker to fall on an external information. And where do we get this external information from? We get this external information from the environment. And what are some of the examples of the environment? So the example of the environment includes the client's immediate family. So one's family is one's environment. The school is also another example of the environment. Our workplace, where we work, is also what? An example of the environment. The church is also an example of the environment. The mosque, are you okay? So where two or more people meet and live together is what? It's an environment. So when we fall on the environment, it simply means that we are falling or we are using an external or a secondary information. When the clients come to you, narrate their story to you, what they are giving to you is a primary information. But in casework, we sometimes also fall on an external source or a secondary source because we believe that the secondary source can also give us a detailed information to the client's problem. So let's say a client has come to you right now, experiencing a problem. If we explore the client's family, you will get an additional information to better reach the intervention that you want to give to the client. Are you okay? So that is why as caseworkers, we sometimes fall on secondary information in understanding or explaining client's problem, in understanding the client's problem, and also devise an intervention to address it. Please, I hope you are getting the explanation. So that is why it is very evident for us to fall on secondary information to help our clients. Please, are we good? Please, are we good with the explanation? Please, are you good? I need reaction so I can know you understand. Yes, yes. Okay, so we said that when we are working as case workers, it involves direct consideration of the client's problem. So when the client comes, we have to consider what the client is facing. So we consider the client's problem and also the client needs. What does the client need? Or what do the clients need? And you know, clients have several needs, but then we try to prioritize the need to know which one is the pressing need that the client wants. Are you okay? So when the client comes with their problem, first of all, we try to appreciate the problem that they are going through. And in the appreciation of their problem, we also have to also appreciate the need, and not any just need or any other need, but then the pressing need that they really need. Are you okay? Or that they cannot do without it. That is their pressing need. Because as I said earlier on, all of us, we all have problems. But then we have a particular problem that we believe that is a pressing one to us that we want to solve. Are we good? So that is it. So we all have problems, but we have a certain range of problems in our life. We have the one that is high, we have the moderate one, then we have the lower ones. So if someone comes in to help us, ideally we want them to help us with our higher needs. Are you good? So that is what casework does. So as caseworkers, we try to consider the client's problem, the client's needs, and also the client's expectations. Please, do we understand? Please, do we understand? Please, are we good with the explanation? Please, I need reaction from you so I can know that you are good with the explanation. Okay, great. Now, one will say then, what are some of the examples of casework practice? So one example of a casework practice is when we are working with drug addicts. So when we are working with a family with addiction or experiencing addiction, that is an example of what? Casework. Or when we are working with clients who are experiencing housing problems, they don't have a place to sleep. So if we are working closely with them to help them find an accommodation to sleep, it's also what? A casework. Please, do we understand? So we can also talk about working with alcoholics. When we're working with some people who are alcoholic in nature, they are entangled in alcoholism. It's also what? Casework practice. Working one-on-one, face-to-face with the individual. Please, do we understand? Please, are we good with the explanation? Okay, now let's look at some key elements of casework. As I told you, casework itself is grounded on some key elements, and these key elements, and of course there are 5 key elements. These key elements is what help us to understand casework. So casework as a course is grounded on key elements. Without the key elements, we cannot do or we cannot practice the casework. So it's with the help of this key element that we are able to understand what casework is. Now, the first key element of casework is person. Person. So a person is the first key element of casework. Now, one will ask, what is a person? So in casework practice, a person is called a client. So in social casework, we don't refer to a person as, let's say, a patient. We don't call someone patient in casework. In casework practice, we call a person a client. And the reason why we call them clients is because we respect them and we believe that they are special individuals or they are special people that are facing problems because they are so special to us, because we know that it is not their fault to experience what they are experiencing. That is why we call them clients. So client itself comes with some sort of respect and dignity. That is why we don't use the term patient in casework. We use the term client because client comes with dignity and also respect. Please, do we understand? Please, are you good? Okay. All right. Now, when we say a client, we don't have a specific individual that we call client. No. So when we say a client can be a male, a client can be a woman, a client can be a young person, a child, an aged, a vulnerable person, a marginalized person. So when we say a client, we are not talking about a particular group or particular dimension of person, but then it's holistic and it's diverse in nature. So it's broad in nature. A man can be called a client. A woman can be called a client. An aged can be called a client. A young person can be called a client. Someone who is vulnerable can be called a client. Someone who is marginalized can also be called a client. So when we say a client, these are a whole lot of wide range of people that can be considered as a client in social work practice. Now, when one asks, okay, how can I be considered as a client? Or when do one become a client? So in social casework, one becomes a client when the person has tried in his own strength and ability to solve their own problems, and now their own ability was not able to help them to address it, and they have come or they think they would need an external support. So when someone tries in his own strength and ability to resolve their own problems, and now their strength wasn't enough and they will need an external support. That is when they qualifies to become or to be called a client. So one qualifies to be called a client when the person's own ability was not enough to address their own problems, and now an external support is needed. Please, are we good with the explanation as well? Please, are you good? Okay, great. And we know that clients get problems due to their weakness. Are you okay? Now, the first effort of, I know all of us, the first effort of every person in this world is to try their best to solve their own problems. I know that when you have a problem, you don't just wake up or stand up and go and maybe talk to someone that please help me to solve my problem. The first thought of or the first instinct of every person is to try their best to solve their own problems. But sometimes some problems are huge and it's beyond our strength. So when the problem is beyond our strength and now an external support is needed or help is needed, that is when we become a client. Okay, now I ask you this question that in professional language, um, you see, we don't have, in casework, we don't have what we call this person is a problem, this person is a problematic person. No. In social casework, we can't say that this person is a problematic person, but rather we use a professional term called a problem suffering person, because we believe that that individual is suffering from a problem. Okay, so that individual is having a weakness and that's the problem that they are going through. It is not their choice, but it's rather the problem that is affecting their well-being and their welfare. So we call them problem suffering person rather than a problematic person. Please, are you good with this one too? Please, are we okay with the explanation too? So now we are on a problem. Yes, we are on problem. We are on problem. Yes, we are on problem now. The first dimension was person. We've done with the person. Now we are on problem. That's the second element. The second element is problem. And I'm saying that in social casework, we don't say someone is a problematic person. No. But rather we say that this person is a problem suffering person because we believe that that individual is going through a situation that is hindering his well-being and his welfare, and that person didn't call for that problem to come, but as rather that is the problem itself that has come to interfere with the person's well-being and their welfare. So we don't call client a problematic person, but rather a problem suffering person. So there's no difference between it. The idea is that in social casework, we don't have what we call a problematic person. So in short sense, a problematic person is referred to as a problem suffering person. Just that in social casework, we don't want to use a problematic person, but rather we prefer a problem suffering person. I think, Rich, I've just did what you just asked. Okay, Rich, I'm saying that we don't have problematic person. So in general sense, a problematic person refers to a problem suffering person. But then in social casework, we don't use the term a problematic person, but rather we use the term a problem suffering person because we believe that the person or the client didn't call for the problem themselves. Do you get it? It's a problem that has come to them to interfere with their well-being and their welfare, and they didn't create that problem themselves. Are you okay? So they are not problematic, but rather their problem surface or problem sufferers. So they are suffering from the problem. So they are not problematic. Which I hope this one makes okay for you. Okay, now in problem we have two kinds of problem that we deal with. Are you okay? So we have intrapersonal problem. Are you okay? And also interpersonal problem. So before I even go in, so you see there is no difference between a problematic person and a problem suffering person. As I said, we as caseworkers, we try to use the term problem suffering instead of problematic. They are the same thing, but then the reason why we prefer problem suffering to problematic is that when we say someone is a problematic person, it means that the person is the one who is causing their own problems. But then we believe that the individual is not the one causing their own problem, but then they are the one suffering from the problem. Right, I hope you are good now. All right. Now we have two kinds of problem. We have intrapersonal problems and also interpersonal problems. So when we say a problem is intrapersonal, it means that that problem stems out of the individual. So that is a problem that happens within the individual. And we know sometimes, you see, we can wake up in the morning and you will be arguing with yourself what to eat in the morning, and it can even create problems for you. Are you okay? So that is what an intrapersonal, something that is stemming out of you. Are you okay? So that is an intrapersonal problem. So please, sorry. Someone called to interrupt the session. Sorry for that. Okay. Okay. So as I said, so when we say an intrapersonal problem, so a problem that emanates or rises out of the individual and basically is relates with the person's mind. Are you okay? So our mind, or something that's related to our own personal self. You get it? So something that rises from our own mind, or so something that's created from our mind, or let's say our personality, and it does not affect other people. So that is the key word. So intrapersonal problems does not affect, or it do not affect any other people. It only affects our personality, our personal self. That is an intrapersonal problem. Are you okay? Now let's move on to the next one. So the next one has to do with what? An interpersonal problem. So now let's say, let me see, Benis. Okay, I've seen Benis. So now let's say Benis is my friend. Are you okay? So if Benis is my friend right now and something occurs, and because of what has occurred, it is creating tension between, or how I communicate with Benis. That is what? An interpersonal problem. So when we say an interpersonal problem, is relating to what? One another. So a problem that creates a friction between two or more parties is what? An interpersonal problems. Please, I hope you are getting it. Please, I hope you are good. So with the we can't hear, please. Hey, please, can you hear me? Say you can hear. Please, can you hear me now? Yes, we can. Please, can I get more photo? We can't hear. Oh, why? It's because of the person who called. That's why you can hear. Sorry for that. Those that can hear, it's 5 hours. And come again, it's over. So this is working. All right. Please, sorry for the interaction. Okay. All right. So these are the two kinds of problems that we have under what? Problem. Intra and interpersonal. Are you okay? So there are two. Okay. Now let's look at place. So the third key element is what? It's place. So when we say place, place refers to the context or the setting in which we sit to have our intervention. Are you okay? So the concept or an agency which offers social services is a place. So the context or setting that provides social intervention is called a place. The context or the setting in which we offer an intervention is called a place. Okay. So I think okay. So the purpose is to help those individuals. No, I think okay. So definitely the physical and social setting within which case workers they sit. So right now, where I'm sitting at our office. Are you okay? So this office is a setting, and this office is what? It's a place. This office is a context. Are you okay? So the physical and social setting in which social workers um, maybe we sit to offer support to people is called a place. So a place can be an example of a place is what? It's an agency. Are you okay? Or a department. So a department and agency can be referred to as what? A place. All right. Now the next key element is agencies. So we have three key agencies in casework. So we have the governmental agencies, we have the non-governmental agencies, and also the semi-governmental agencies. So when we say governmental agencies, I hope you know governmental agencies. So basically, it is run by the government. Okay, it is a state-owned agency. But when we say non-governmental, you see, it is a private-owned agencies. But sometimes, and these private-owned agencies, that's the NGO, they have their own core missions and visions, and they operate according to their mission and their vision. These are very good. That is the difference between them. And we have the semi-government organizations. So with the semi-government, sometimes we have people who are private individuals, but then, please, your network. Hey, please, can't you hear me? Please, can't you hear me? Why is that you can't hear me? What's happening? We can. Hey, people are also saying they can hear me. So why is that? You say you can hear me. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Now, when we say agencies, three key agencies to come to your mind. So we have governmental agencies, we have non-governmental agencies, and semi-governmental agencies. When we say governmental agencies, so they are the agencies that are state-owned. So they are owned by the state. So the duties and responsibilities are performed by the state. Are you okay? Now, because it's state-owned, like it's kind of, let me say, universal. So it's universalistic in nature. Are you okay? But then when you come to the NGO, that's the non-governmental organizations, it is owned by private individuals. And now these private individuals runs their own affairs and they operate according to their mission and their vision. So you see, we have an NGO that is only focused on, let's say, boreholes, because that is their mission and that's their vision. We have an NGO that is focused on street children. That is their mission and their vision. We have an NGO that is focused on, let's say, reproductive health education, like PPAG. That is their mission and their vision. Are you okay? We have some NGO that is focused on female development or female education. Example is what? Comfort. So that is their mission and their vision. Are you okay? So NGOs operate according to their missions and their vision. Now the third key agency is what? Or kind of agency is the governmental organizations. So with the semi-governmental agency, it's is a kind of agency that comprises both people and or private individuals and the government. So it's kind of a blend of the two. Private individual and the environment, they come together. So for instance, with a semi-agency or semi-organizational agency, with that one, it is almost by what? Some private individuals. And when, as they progress, maybe they will feel like they don't have enough funds to continue their work. So they will go and solicit for some funds from the government. So the government will come in and they will form what? A coalition. Are you okay? So they will collide, they form a coalition to provide or promote what they have started. So a semi-governmental agency or a semi-government organization is always started by the people, and because of some kind of funding issues, they try to bring the government on board to help them in their work. So now it becomes like a form of alliance. Okay, alliance. So that is also the semi-governmental organization. Now we say then, and that is the fourth one. Now the next one is process. So process is also one key element of casework. Process. Now when we say process, process has to do with the medium through which we perform our practice. So as social workers, what is the medium in which we operate? So the medium in which we operate is a process. Are you okay? What are what are the step-to-step process or channels that we follow in making sure that client problems are being solved? That's what process. So the step-by-step approach that social workers or case workers use in addressing client problem is the process. Are you okay? So as I explained, process is what? The process is the systematic or the step-by-step method used by case workers in addressing client problem. So the step-by-step or the let me say systematic approach that case workers use in addressing client problem is what? Is process. Please, are you good? Please, are you okay? Please, are you okay? Okay, so maybe in the next 10 minutes, or maybe in the next 15 minutes, we can wrap up. All right, so that you can also learn. Now, under the process, under the process of casework, we have a scholar called H. Perlman. So, according to H. Perlman, he adopted some 3 key phases of what? Of process. So H. Perlman adopted some 3 key phases of process. Now the first phase of process is what? Is the study phase. We have the study phase. So the second process is what? Or the second phase of process is what? Is the diagnosis phase. Okay? Okay. And the last phase of process is what? Is the treatment phase. Please, let's make sure, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe, and let's like to keep the conversation going. Okay, so if we are on, we should try to like, and we should try to subscribe to also the channel as well, so that we can keep on growing together. All right. Now, according to H. Perlman, we have some 3 key phases of process. The first one is the study phase. The second one is the diagnosis phase, and the last one is the treatment phase. Now let's explain them one after the other. So the study phase refers to the initial phase of the process. That's where an engagement occurs. So the study phase is where an engagement occurs. So when we start engagement with our client, that is the study phase. So at the study phase, that's where we try to understand the background of our client. So in getting to know the personal information of our client, That is where it's done. So at the study phase, we try to understand or get the personal information of our clients. Are you okay? So maybe you want to know what is the client's name, you want to know where the client is coming from, what is the religious affiliation of the client. So all this information is done at the study phase. So at the study phase, we do what? The initial engagement. So through the initial engagement, we try to collect some key information about the client, his personal and also background information to help us in our process. Please, are you good? Please, are you good? Okay, now one will ask, what is the key mechanism at the study phase? So at the study phase, you see, I explained that is a phase where we do the initial engagement to help get the client details and information. Now, what mechanism do we use to get this initial information about the client? So through interview. So interview process is the mechanism used by caseworkers to get client details and information. So casework is a mechanism that we use to get client information and also their background information, whether their background and personal information through interviews. That's where we are able to get this information from. So an interview is a mechanism used by caseworkers to get client information. Please, are you good? Please, are you good? Please, are you good? Yes. Now, there's one key thing that I want you guys to pay critical attention to. Now, you see, at the study phase, we want information from the client, but then the information that we want from them, they are mostly primary information. That is what the client is telling us. But in a situation where the client is unable to give us detailed information about them, then we fall on secondary information. Listen, at the study phase, the primary focus is to receive a primary information from the client. Where we are not able to get concrete or proper, or let's say the client is unable to give us additional or correct information about them. Now we have to resort to secondary information from the client environment, from the client's family, from the client's workplace, from the client's school, from the client's church place, and so on and so forth. And this secondary source will give us additional information about the client, and this will help us provide a better intervention to address their problem for them. Please, are we good? Please, are we good? Great. Please, let's make sure we like the session, and if you haven't subscribed to the session and the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel for us. Okay, so make sure you like. Let's all try to like the conversation. I know we are all enjoying, so let's make sure we like the session and also try to subscribe to the channel if we haven't done so. All right, now this is very, very important at the study phase. Now let's move on to the diagnosis phase. So what goes on at the diagnosis phase? So at the diagnosis phase, that's the phase where we try to understand what problem the client is facing. So at the diagnosis phase, that's where we understand the kind and the type of problem. Okay, so at the diagnosis phase, that is where we understand the kind and type of problem. So you see, at the study phase, we try to get the information, the personal information about the client. And if the client is unable to give us some personal information about themselves, then we rely on secondary information. But then at the diagnosis phase, that's where we try to probe. Are you okay? So we do diagnosis. So when we are doing diagnosis, we are asking questions about what brought about their problem. And through the probing process, we try to understand the factors that brought about the client problem so that we can come with a proper intervention to address it for them. Please, are you okay? Yes. So at the diagnosis phase, as I said, we do diagnosis to know the type and kind of problem that the client is facing. Are you okay? That's very, very important. Don't forget that one too. Very, very important. Now, at the treatment phase, I hope you know treatment. So from the study to diagnosis to the treatment. So treatment, the core duty is to provide an intervention that will help provide solution to their problems. Because at the diagnosis phase, we've been able to identify the problem that is worrying the client. Now, the treatment phase is just trying to address the problem that we've identified. And how can we address the problem? Through the provision of interventions. So with proper interventions, we are able to address the client's problem for them. So that is at the treatment. So at the treatment phase, we are just solving the problem. And how can we solve the problem? By bringing an intervention that helps meet the needs and demands of the client. So when their needs are being met, their problems are being solved. Please, are you good? I'm tired. Are you good? Okay, I think we have to be good. Also, we is good because the way I've explained, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing my best. But I hope what I've done, you'll be able to understand. Yeah. Okay. Now, brief one, then we conclude. So let's say in 3 minutes, I'll wrap up. So now, the next aspect has to do with what? Social assessment. And now, you see, in assessment, as I said the last time I met you guys in class, assessment combines or comprises of 2 key things. So when we are doing assessment, we do assessment, we focus on what? Or we rely on objective and also subjective information. So in assessment, in social work or social case work, we rely on subjective and objective information. When we say objective information, objective has to do with what? Facts. So objective are what? Are factuals. That's objective. But then with the subjective information, we are talking about the feelings, the emotions of the client. Are you okay? So the non-verbal cues, the emotions, the feelings of the client is what? Is subjective information. Please, are you good? So that is what social work assessment. So assessment relies on objective and subjective information from the client. Please, are you good? So that is it. Someone is saying, please, I'm confused about the diagnosis phase. Okay, please. Diagnosis is when you are trying to understand the type of problem that the client is facing. So that's what goes on at the diagnosis phase. So in diagnosis, you are asking questions to understand what type of problem that is the client facing. That's diagnosis. So to our ability to determine the type of problem is what? Diagnosis. Are you okay? Now let's move on. So I've explained what assessment is about. So in assessment, we rely on objective and subjective information. Objective is facts. Subjective is what? Is the feelings and emotions of the client. Now, assessment is done at 3 key dimensions. So we do assessment at the biological level, at the psychological level, and also at the social level. So at the biological level, when you're talking about assessment, we are looking at genetics, we are looking at heredity, and also at DNA. So that's what we look at the biological level. So at the biological level, we are also focused on the family history of the client. The client's medical history is also very, very important. So the family history and the client's medical history all falls under the biological level because we believe that one biological level can influence their behavior, and it can cause a problem for them. So for instance, if maybe you have a medical history of, let's say, you have a chronic let's say this ulcer, you have a chronic ulcer. So, and let's say you were able to take some medicine and you were able to be fine for, let's say, some 10 years time. Now if that problem occurs again and we want to really validate what's really causing your problem, we have to what? Check your medical history. So once medical history forms under the biological dimension, once family history is also under the biological dimension. Please, are we good? So our family history, our family medical history, and also our personal medical history is under the biological dimension. Now when we go to the psychological dimension or psychological assessment, are you okay? So the first one was the biological assessment. So when you come to the psychological assessment, we are looking at our mental history. So are you okay? Our mental history. So are we having an emotions? Are we having an anxiety? Are we having a depression? Are you okay? So all this falls under the psychological dimension. So we are looking at our cognitive functioning, how our cognitive functions. Are you okay? So anxiety, depression, our mental history, our cognitive functioning, they all falls under the psychological dimension. Are you okay? Now under the social dimension, we are looking at, and you see, we have some assessment tools under the psychological dimension. We have the Rorschach ink blood test and also the Beck depression inventory. So I told you guys to just know this psychological assessment tool. So we have the Rorschach ink blood test. We have the Myers-Briggs type indicator and also the Beck depression inventory. That's the BDI. So these are all psychological assessment tools that we use under the psychological dimension. Now the last dimension is what? Is the social dimension. Social has comprised of what? One, social history. So when you say social history, you are looking at your living condition, your marital relationship, and also your relationship that you have with your peers and your friends. So that's your social history. How in 5 years ago, how was your relationship with your wife? How was your relationship with your husband? How was your relationship with your friends? Was it okay or it wasn't okay? Was it hostile or it was cordial? Now, if we are able to navigate these intricacies, we are able to what? Know that this is the cause of your problem. Okay. So that is what also occurs at the social assessment. So in brief, this is what goes on at the assessment level. Please, I know we are good, right? Okay. So I think my time is fast spent, and I know you've understood something right now, right? Under the casework and also working with individual. So I know you've been able to at least grasp some one key things or one key phrases that it will help in, God willing, tomorrow's mid semester. Okay, yes. See, I'm very tired. You can see from my eye that I'm very tired. Yeah. So I'll end with you guys here. I want to appreciate your time very much. I thank you for coming, because I think you guys wasn't informed or you weren't informed earlier on, but I also feel like this this will help you guys. So for 2 5, and that's working with individuals or casework, your question is what? Is short answers. What? Short answers. Yes, that is the approach your lecturer wants to use. But then in any other maybe time, it can be MCQs, or it can be AC. Are you okay? So the question can be in the form of MCQs, or it can be in the form of essay or short answers. But then with this one, your lecturer is going by short answers. Are you okay? All right. So thank you very much for your time. Are you okay? For responding to this meeting. And I know you've gotten some new insights. You've become competent in some areas of your studies, and I know God willing, tomorrow you will do magic. Okay, you do magic. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Bye bye. Okay, bye everyone. Okay, all right. So as we are exiting, please, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe. And if you haven't liked this session too, kindly make sure you like the session before you exit. Okay, all right. All right, so I'm officially closing it. So bye bye guys. Okay, so make sure you have enough rest. Okay, don't learn again. If I were you, I wouldn't learn again. So what you've just gone through, just reminisce. Okay, about them. Then rest. Then you wake up early in the morning. Then you try to revise them. Okay, that one it works like a magic, and I think you can do right. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.